Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District, episode 106. I'm Nathan. That's Trev, and that's the Stoner. Let me get our boxes in the right order there for you. I know how important it is to some of our viewers who watch us every Wednesday at 7:30 on our YouTube channel that we're in the same spot. And I agree. I think it makes, as part of that consistency of our show so good. In fact, speaking of consistency, we are celebrating our 2-year birthday.
That's right.
That was yesterday. So congratulations, gentlemen. 106 episodes, 2 years of doing this. I love working with both of you. In fact, it's not really work. It's just fun to do.
Yeah, it's just a pastime.
It is a lot of fun. It has been 2 years, and it doesn't seem like it either.
Well, year and a half for
really
me.
doesn't.
Year and a half for me, right?
Yeah, 2 years. We're gonna say even if you joined us in August, you're looped in with Ref the District. You are a part of our Ref the District blood now. So
that's right.
We got a great show for you here today on 106. In the cool down, we're gonna be talking about whether or not Washington should tag Daron Payne. We saw the numbers came out. He's the most likely tag target for Washington. We'll talk about whether or not they should. If they do, how much that's going to cost. Or is there another person you think Washington should tag? All that's going to come down in the cool down. For the game, we're going to talk about who Washington should cut to save some money and who they should extend or restructure. What are those contracts looking like? Save some money as we go into this offseason. Currently not with a lot of cap space, but how are we going to make cap space? That's all going to be coming down in the game. Here in the Sky Bar warm-up, we're going to be talking about the Pro Bowl and the Senior Bowl and Pebble Beach. All that's going to happen in the warm-up. But before we get to that portion, the NFL said goodbye to one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest to ever be a part of this game. And so we want to pay our respects, of course, to Bobby Beathard, who died at the age of 86, spent more than 3 decades as an NFL executive, was the guy responsible for hiring Joe Gibbs, drafting Hall of Famers Art Monk, Russ Grimm, and Darrell Green, and was a part of Washington's Super Bowls in 82 and 87. So may he rest in power, as they say. Big part of Washington's, franchise and the reason why we're fans today. Do you guys have anything to say about Bobby Beathard?
Too old. I'm too young to really kind of know what he was for this franchise. But after you saying that, I just learned a lot. And I have a question. Is he any relation to CJ Beathard, the quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. I think CJ Beathard is like his
grandson or something?
Great nephew or something like that.
Okay.
It's like his. Yes, I do believe so. I remember them when CJ Beathard was coming around that he was like
grandfather of quarterback CJ Beathard.
Oh,
here we go.
Grandfather, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
So Bobby Beathard is a huge part of this team's history. A huge part. The behind the scenes brains that put that entire thing together, this whole organization together. So you got to give a whole lot of props to him. And like Nathan said, we don't realize it, but he's a big reason why we're fans of this team because of what he built behind the scenes into a mini dynasty for 20 years. So yeah, pour some out for him tonight.
Yep, absolutely. I know with that intro, a lot of people probably thought I was talking about Tom Brady, but we don't care. He's not a part of the Washington franchise.
That's
so
right.
We're going to move right past that announcement and give a big shout out to my mom here with a $5 super sticker. Of course, our super chat is always open. Appreciate you, Mom.
Appreciate you
for
very
that
much.
One. So let's get right into the conversation here. Again, our warm-up is brought to you by the Sky Bar. You can head down to Lexington, Virginia, see Trev in person, mention Ref the District, and your first drink is on us. Take advantage of that if you happen to be in the area. For our Sky Bar warm-up, we're talking about the Pro Bowl. Washington has 5 players in the Pro Bowl. So we have Terry McLaurin, we have Jonathan Allen, we have Tressway, we have our man Reeves. Reeves era is in there, Jeremy Reeves. And now we also have the guy we're going to be talking about in the cool down, Daron Payne, also representing the burgundy and gold.
Major Tutty.
This Pro Bowl.
Don't disrespect Major Tutty.
All right, Major Tutty's going to be there as well. Obviously, one of the Washington Entertainment members is going to be there. Fair enough. Representing the burgundy and gold. This year it's a little bit different though, guys. It's not like the traditional Pro Bowl game. They're going to be doing skill challenges. They're going to be doing a flag football game. I want to know, what are you planning on tuning into? We'll start with Trev.
Probably some NBA action. Maybe, something else other than the Pro Bowl events this weekend. Because personally, bro, the skills challenge means nothing to me. It's not going to prove to me why they made the Pro Bowl. Dodgeball is not going to prove to me why they made the Pro Bowl. Flag football is not going to prove that. So I might, be tune in and just see how it's formatted and how it works out. But I'm not going to spend too much time on it, honestly. So
are there some reruns of One Life to Live? Or
maybe some
company or something. We'll
General Hospital.
I might play some video games, be outside, might go to work.
I've never watched the Pro Bowl.
Never?
I mean, I have.
Never.
Not even Sean Taylor taking out a punter?
Bro. Oh, that was...
Watch highlights of it, but I've never watched it. In the last 10 years, probably haven't even watched highlights.
It gets softer and softer every year. So I watched it.
A joke.
Because it was
that's why they're not playing it this year, right? Because it just got to be way too soft.
Yeah.
Right. So
does that change though with it changing to a different format where we're going to see flag football? Yeah. Because so I can see being called soft because they're not really tackling, they're not rushing, they're not doing any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're going to just have to pull flags. Are you going to see a little bit more spicy play?
No,
probably
you're going to see a bunch of guys half button out there with flag football because it's an extra paycheck. That's the only reason why they're there. Yeah. Like I tweeted earlier, and I don't know, I could be wrong, whatever, but I have a problem with these players busting ass all season long to be rewarded by a dodgeball tournament in the Pro Bowl. I just don't.
I think it's fun for them.
Can't they just be rewarded by going out there and hanging out and having a good time?
Yeah, or just say they're a Pro Bowl player.
Getting free trips.
Yeah, don't even have the trips. Just nominate, just give them the award, send them a plaque, a trophy, or a medal, and keep it moving. Don't have them fly out there. You're paying them literally to fly out and have a party weekend. Right. Dodgeball, flag football.
That's okay.
But I think the players like that. In fact, I think a lot of the players were upset when they took it away from Hawaii because that was like a trip, they got to go to Hawaii with the family and everything and kind of enjoy that.
You think like Daron Payne really wants to go and play flag football on a day off where he could just train or do something way more fun than, I mean, he's getting paid to do it, but like, come on.
All right. So here's the offer. I'll give you a free, probably first class flight.
Okay.
To Orlando.
Okay.
Right. I'll give you a first class hotel to stay in. You, your wife, right?
Yeah.
All the free food, all the free drinks. You just got to show up to a couple events, do some glad handing with some sponsors, right? Show your face around a few places like that. That's all I'm asking you to do in exchange for you getting this free trip to Orlando with, car service and, like I said, first class plane tickets and all. What's wrong with that?
I'm good.
You're going to say no to that?
He's definitely taking it.
I can do that any other time. I play the National Football League. That probably happens all the time.
Yeah, but they're paying for it.
Yeah. How much is the check? Like 10,000? How much is the check?
I think it's more
probably. Oh, you mean the check in terms of on top of all of that?
Yeah,
the Pro Bowl. Like how much are you going to pay for the Pro Bowl check?
Now you got me looking it up.
Yeah, I don't know, but let's just say it's $30,000. Okay.
I don't want to do that. I mean, if it was in Hawaii, yes, but it's in Orlando. I can go to Orlando tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's not Vegas. It's not New York City. It's not Malibu. It's not Hawaii. It's Orlando.
Yeah. Well, what if you got 3 kids and you've been dying to take them?
Why are we even talking about Orlando? This one's in Vegas.
This one's in Vegas this year.
Oh, okay. What's in Vegas? All right.
I was wondering when you brought up Orlando. They had it in. I think
they had it in Orlando for many years.
Yeah, but
then yes, my answer is yes. If I'm going to
so
Vegas,
you got a problem with Orlando. You don't have a problem with what they're doing.
It's Orlando. It's like, but Vegas. Well, also with what you're doing, like at least do some real dodgeball, bro. Dodgeball.
I actually think the dodgeball is actually one of the better events that they play because they get into that, right? They actually do get into the dodgeball. They did not get into the game. They really did not care about the game. That was just kind of a silly thing that they had to throw on pads. And that's why I think the flag football might be more exciting. What I'm not too excited about is like some of the players that sneak in there. Like I get the star players.
Tyler
Huntley is going to be representing. There's seriously nobody else. Trevor Lawrence is there. Derek Carr got the invite after Huntley. That's how I just don't understand how it's supposed to go here. I do understand this though from Alcatone, a $10 super sticker, much appreciated there. Thank you kindly. Gus Bus has a great question now that we're on Huntley, by the way. If Heineke was in the AFC, would he have been nominated to the Pro Bowl over Huntley?
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
And I ain't even saying that. Y'all know how I feel about Heineke. So
yeah. But they also, I'm sure they went through like a list of guys and asked them, and they didn't want to go. So they didn't do it publicly. You know what I mean? They didn't go out and say, well, we're going to invite Ryan Tannehill. I'm just making something up. Or, Kenny Pickett, right? They didn't go out and say, we're going to invite Kenny Pickett. And then he says no. And then we got to, all right, who's next on the list? You know what I mean? They privately probably called a few guys who deserved it over Huntley. And then they just got down to the bottom of the barrel and they had to go with Tyler Huntley.
Dodgeball? I don't want to go. Yeah. Dodgeball? And like you saw the emotion of what this means to people. Jeremy Reeves, you saw that. And you get rewarded with the skills challenge. Like that's what I have a problem with.
Would you rather get rewarded
he's going to ball out during the flag football.
Listen to us right now. He's going to ball out during flag football. Listen to us
Reeves is going to have himself a good time right now. I understand. We did have people bringing up Robert Edwards, who did tear up a knee playing flag football on the beach.
It was on the beach.
On the beach.
It was
how about
you do different, but
7-on-7, put the pads and helmet on, running clock, 10-minute running clock, 4-minute quarters. You're allowed to sub in. You're allowed to sub in 2 subs per team and go. I mean, that's cool. At least
so how is somebody down?
At least you have at least you have pads and helmets on, and it's 7-on-7. There's a little physical contact, like running.
But they're not going to do the physical contact.
Do it like remember the Rock and Jock MTV basketball back in the day, like the 4-point basket was way up high.
Right.
Do something like that. Like you got to start at like the 35. If you throw like a touchdown on the first play, it's worth like so many points.
Like 3-on-3 that also has like the spots on the floor.
Yeah, make it like that. Like that would be cool rather than flag football, dodgeball.
NFL Street. You remember playing that game?
Yes.
NFL Street. Make it like that. Now we're getting crazy here.
Like
TJ Too Nasty says, bring back the old skill competitions, 40-yard dash, bench press, QB accuracy.
They can't do that nowadays.
In the good old days.
Guys aren't going to do that nowadays.
They're doing skill challenges this year. What skill challenges are they doing?
They're not doing anything to where
football related.
The 40 where they're going to tear a hammy.
They did have that race last year, right? With Tyreek Hill raced like a bunch of Micah Parsons. They all raced the Pro Bowl, right?
But I don't know if that was the official sanction deal, was it? I think that was kind of on their own. I don't think they did anything for real.
Fastest man in the NFL. I would love to see that back.
But I'm telling you, they're not going to do that. There's too much money riding on these players. No, the players aren't going to do it. It's not the NFL. The players are the one who go out on the field and not do anything in the Pro Bowl because they don't want to risk the millions, hundreds of millions of potential dollars they can make. That's why it got that way. It didn't get that way because the NFL told them not to hit each other.
True.
They did it because don't hit me because I'm in my contract year and I want to make $75 million.
Right,
if
but
you hit
then
me and I tear my knee, I'm out $75 million.
But then what if you go on vacation and you gets reported bike accident or fell down the step, tore Achilles? What's the difference?
There's a risk. You have to weigh your risk, right? And risk of going out on the football field and getting hurt is different than you having control over riding around on your bike or motorcycle or whatever. You have more control. Where you don't have control over crazy Daron Payne coming at you 320 pounds and
to try to rip your flag off. Cool.
All right. Now here are the events. On Thursday, they're going to have the dodgeball.
Tomorrow?
Yep, starts tomorrow. Dodgeball tomorrow. No, so we're not watching that one. Lightning round. Apparently, this is 16 players compete in a 3-part elimination challenge that leaves one player left at the end to earn 3 points.
What's the challenge?
3 points.
Lightning round splash catch. Teammate pairings from each will toss water balloons back and forth. High stakes. Attempt to catch punts from a jugs machine. Thrill the spill. Remaining players will aim at targets attached to a bucket hanging above the head of an opposing conference's coach.
Oh my god.
This is like this is like the family barbecue.
Somebody's nieces and nephews made this list up.
Yeah, longest drive. They're just literally just the furthest who can drive a golf ball, and precision passing presented by EA Sports, Madden, NFL 23 mobile.
Trev, you were just saying that they should try all these different crazy things. Well, here you go.
For a football game. Like make it a different crazy, like
what you want crazy. Here we go. Best catch presented by Uber Eats. It's the first round, and it's essentially the dunk contest. Players will compete in a best catch competition, showing off their creativity, inventiveness.
Jeremy Reeves is safety. How the Daron Payne's a lineman?
It's probably someone like Aaron McLaurin who's going to be in that one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the previous years, everybody was involved.
That's all on Thursday, by the way.
Well, I'm saying Daron Payne
all on Thursday.
He'll do different events. They probably all do like different types of events.
What's on Friday, Nathan?
Well, there's nothing on here listed on Friday. Apparently, Sunday's the next day that they have something. I'm not sure how that worked out, but this is all from NFL.com. Sunday, it's the best catch finale.
Then
it's the gridiron gauntlet relay race. 4-part gauntlet, 40 yards in length. There you go. There's your 40-yard dash.
What time's the 3-legged race? Or the sack race?
Or do they carry
the spoon? What's the egg? The egg on the spoon, right?
Well, there's an egg shortage now, so they probably couldn't do that.
Yeah, they make enough money, like you said. Kick-tack-toe. Kicker, punter, long snapper compete in a giant tic-tac-toe competition. Move the chains. 4 teams, 2 teams from each conference compete side by side in a weighted wall pull.
So tug of war.
Potato sack.
It is. It is the Stone Family Barbecue.
Yeah, I used to have a thing in elementary school called Field Day when you had teams with different colored T-shirts and you did tug of war, relays. Yeah,
you used to get the ribbons if you won. Yeah, right. Did you get ribbons if you won?
Yeah,
I wouldn't know you didn't get any ribbons. I get it. I understand. I feel bad for you for not getting any ribbons. But the winners used to get ribbons.
Green team. Green team was always bad.
What were like the colors of the ribbons? Do you remember like for first, second, third?
I just know colors of the teams, but not ribbons.
I feel like red was first. Red, yellow, green, maybe. Like
I think I don't care, nor does anyone care what ribbon was first. It's all participation trophy. We are going to move on.
Nathan didn't get any either. He didn't get any ribbons either in Field Day.
I agree with our people. Let's move on to next topic. One that caused some kind of contention this week was that Senior Bowl practices have started.
Oh, Lord.
And Ron Rivera is swinging a golf club down at Pebble Beach, and people kind of took, to Twitter with their little battles over that. Some people obviously didn't think it was that big of a deal, and some people did think it was a big deal. Where did you land on that one, Stoner?
I mean, it's not a big deal at all. I mean, there are how many? I think they were upset about the Senior Bowl, one, and number two, they were upset about we don't have an OC yet, right? Well, then there's about 7 or 8 teams that don't have an OC, and now maybe their coach / GM was not front page news on the TV swinging a golf club, but I bet you they were out golfing that day or doing something leisurely that day. It's fine. You don't have to work 24/7.
No, dog.
It may be a little bit of bad optics just because it was on TV, but give me a break. It was not a big deal. You can't expect your coach to be working 24/7. They can go do events like this when you don't have a coordinator yet. You have other people who are at the Senior Bowl. He wasn't there last year. The draft was pretty good. Right?
And they drafted quite a few from the Senior Bowl. Jack Del Rio, Brent Wieselmeyer, and Christian Garcia, or Wieselmeyer maybe. Brent V, as I'm going to call him from this point forward, all representing the Commanders' front office. Actually, the entire front office were there. And then this is Jack Del Rio, Brent V, and Christian Garcia, according to Nikki J. All those people were there for the Commanders. So, yeah, I agree. Not a big deal. And as the 414 mentions here, Rivera did manage to interview Anthony Lynn during this time, as announced today. So not really a huge deal. He did drive to make that happen down there in the Bay Area. Anthony Lynn, guys, OC. This is the latest kind of news right now is they're waiting for Eric B from the Chiefs to be made available to have a conversation with him. Anthony Lynn here getting the interview today. Where are you guys sitting on the offensive coordinator search, Trev?
I think we're doing a great job with it. I think that it's showing that it's showing that we're actually taking time to make sure we get everything fixable, right, and correct. And yes, we are waiting for Eric B. He might not come here, but we want to hear what he has to say. You never know. You just never know. Anthony Lynn, he saw what he did, I guess, in San Francisco last year. People are saying it's going to be a San Peasy. Well, it might be, but you're still doing your due diligence. So I'm fine with how long it's taking because, it's a process. And as far as him golfing, he can conduct interviews, but 99 times out of 100, no one's going to sign the dotted line right there on the first interview. They might wait out and come back the next day. So Ron can play around the golf if he wants to. He doesn't have to be at the Senior Bowl either because that's why he has the whole front office and, he trusts them so he doesn't have to be there. He's taking care of offensive coordinator. They're scouting players for a draft. It's fine. This fan base is ridiculous. If Ron Rivera was photographed taking a number 2 in a porta potty or leaving the porta potty, they would say he's, doing that instead of trying to find an OC. Give it time.
Yeah, he's got to do his due diligence. Those are great words. You got to make sure that you get everybody and so that you can compare everybody. If you hire one now before talking to Eric Bieniemy, then you're not doing your job.
No, you're not.
But also the people who are out there having an issue with it, or at least asking if there's, trolling being the key word. Let's not all act like we're not above a little trolling. Okay. Everybody trolls.
Yeah.
I troll, you troll, we all troll at least a little bit, but we all get offended when it's a troll against something that matters to us, when it's Ron Rivera.
People take the troll and roll with it and make it worse than what it really is.
Yeah, but it was just a troll job is all it was, which got blown up a little bit bigger than it probably should have.
I think that it hit home if you're referring strictly to him golfing and the Junks, the Junk Radio posting that or on Twitter and the people running with it. I think why it hit was because a lot of people did have a problem with it. Most people, well, I can't say a lot, but there were people who were upset. I mean, Chris Russell, the Rooster, was one of them.
Yes, I do.
I agree with you, gentlemen. I don't think it's that big of a deal. He was able to get the job done. It is what it is there. Trev believes in PTO. Absolutely. That's why he's wonderful to work for. Sky Bar in Lexington, Virginia. Let's get to the metaphor here. Has put this up a couple times. You know, there's people who've been responding there. EP giving a thumbs down, the 414 giving a thumbs up here. Anthony Lynn, thumbs up or thumbs down as an offensive coordinator?
Oh man,
Trump's giving thumbs up
based off what he did in San Fran with 3 different quarterbacks. I mean, he did have 3 different quarterbacks at one point, you guys, and they made the playoffs.
Was he the offensive coordinator? I mean, Kyle Shanahan's the offensive coordinator.
Well,
Kyle Shanahan calls the plays.
We don't necessarily all know that for a fact. We're just saying that because we have history of him doing that. Things could be different. We don't know that.
We do know for a fact that Kyle Shanahan calls the plays.
Not every
Thomas
single
Brown's
play.
name we like. You think he
might call? Okay, he might call the play, but he might not design all the plays. We don't know that. Let's think about that. He's a coach.
Look. Kyle Shanahan is the offensive coordinator. Okay.
We're not talking about Kyle Shanahan.
Okay. I'm saying that Anthony Lynn was not the offensive coordinator.
We don't know that.
That's
We're
yes,
literally basing that off of history, not facts.
Yes, that's facts. It is facts, Trev. He is
whatever. I think he's great. Whatever.
Stoner, sounds like you're down on Anthony Lynn.
Why?
I'm not down on Anthony Lynn. I'm not down on Eric Bieniemy. I'm not down on Pat Shurmur or Studsville or Thomas Brown. I'm not down or up or on any of these guys. I didn't interview them. I didn't talk to them. I can go and look at every one of their resumes and I can see good and I can see bad. But I have no clue how good these guys are going to be in Washington working for Ron Rivera.
And you guys like to say I'm the one who rides the fence there. Okay.
Okay. If you want to
pick a side.
If you want me to pick a side, then I would say down.
Down, really? Why?
Why?
Because I don't know anything about him.
Oh my gosh.
I can just look at his resume and I can look at his resume and I can say, he all right, but nothing stands out. That's the same with all these guys. Okay. Start talking to me about guys who have already been offensive coordinators and had major success.
Well, so you're not getting them as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, we're
because
not
if they're an offensive coordinator with major success, they're looking at head coaching jobs.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
So you need to pick somebody who has upside. Do you think Anthony Lynn as an offensive coordinator has upside?
Sure. I mean, how would I know? How would you know? How would anybody sitting here in this room right now, how would anybody know if he is going to be a good offensive coordinator? We all thought Scott Turner was going to be a good offensive coordinator.
No one did.
I don't think that he can.
Young, innovative, came from the Norv Turner tree, which is the Bill Walsh tree, essentially, when it comes down to it.
No.
So, yeah, we all thought Scott Turner was going to be it.
Bro, you mean to tell me Kyle Shanahan, I know we're not talking about him, had all the time in the world to really scheme up for 3 quarterbacks like that without help from Anthony Lynn at all? Is that
I
what
didn't
you're
say
telling
he
me?
didn't have help. I'm just saying he's not the offensive coordinator. What is his title in San Francisco?
He was the assistant head coach and quarterbacks coach.
Running back.
Yeah.
He's not the offensive coordinator. And neither is Kyle Shanahan. Right? But
so
Kyle Shanahan's the one that calls plays. Kyle Shanahan is the offensive mind of the team.
Maybe he's offensive. He's obviously an offensive mind too, or else he wouldn't have that job.
He's a good guy to have. He's had some experience, whatever. He's not going to come in here and all of a sudden turn this team around offensively.
You don't know that.
You're right. That's my point.
Doug here, Lynn has lots of experience as a running back coach, which he currently is, which supposedly fits the running style the Commanders, want to play.
Welcome to 1980 then. Okay? This is not the strength of the team. I get that he fits what they want, but that's not going to fix this offense. Becoming a stronger running team is not going to fix this offense.
It might.
Go get me a guy who has a track record of having a great offense. And you know what that'll match up with? A quarterback. Okay.
The 414 here with more information for you, Stoner. Lynn did well in San Diego, LA with the Bolts, And he was the offensive coordinator in Detroit in 2021, got Swift on the map.
Hello? And Swift killed us. Did you remember that?
Oh my God. See what I'm saying? You can fit any narrative that you want to fit with these guys. Okay. So he did well with San Diego / LA. Who were the running backs during that
Malcolm
time?
Brown, Cam Akers. Oh, the Bolts?
Yeah. When
Austin
he was the
Eckler,
OC,
probably.
who were the running backs?
Probably Austin
You have
Eckler.
no idea.
Yeah,
Austin
Eckler
Eckler.
Was he there during that time that
Has
Anthony
to
Lynn
have
was
been.
there?
Anthony
Maybe a
Lynn.
year.
He was
or
there.
something.
Yeah, he was there.
Okay. What did he have? He had a guy named
Marvin Gordon was one of his running
Yeah,
backs.
hello. Pro Bowls.
Melvin, but
Melvin.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's inefficient now. We're moving on from him. But
Okay. So you're giving me guys who are great players. Okay. That's what a good coach does. He has great players. A coach is only as good as his personnel. Don't tell me DeAndre Swift, who I believe was a first-round pick, okay, is not supposed to be good, and he's only good because Anthony Lynn was there. Don't tell me that these other guys that had Phillip Rivers and Hall of Famer, and Justin Herbert, future Hall of Famer, he was good at coordinating them.
Ooh, that's a
okay.
early shot.
You know what I'm saying? He's one of the best young QBs in the league. Okay, so you're only as good as your personnel. Okay, you can be a great coordinator because you have great personnel. Don't tell me that some of these now it does happen with guys like maybe a Daboll, right? He improved Daniel Jones, right? Or was it Mike Kafka? Because Mike Kafka was the offensive coordinator. Or did Brian Daboll fix Josh Allen when he was in Buffalo? Who knows? But you have to have the personnel. And you have DeAndre Swift, a first-round draft pick. Ooh, he made him really good. All right, well, fine.
Bro!
He's a first-round draft pick. He should be good. That's all I'm telling you.
I think Anthony Lynn would be a great hire.
I did too.
From Washington.
Why?
I have him as my number 2 because he has had success both as an OC and a head coach in this league. He does fit their style. I think that he is a coach who's kind of cut from the same cloth as Rivera. You hear a lot about how Rivera is a good coach, to the players and kind of a mentor to them. And I think that Anthony Lynn fits that mold. He's my number 2 OC. Thomas Brown's number 1, namely because he's younger. He does also come from a high-speed offense there with the McVay offense. He's kind of bounced around. He's gotten, he's doing tight ends. He's doing running backs to kind of, broaden his perspective on how the game is played. And you hear him, and he's motivating. So Thomas Brown would be number 1, but Anthony Lynn, I'd be more than happy for Washington to get him. I'm a little down on Eric B. That's for different reasons. So it'll be interesting. A lot of people calling Stoner wrong in the chat. Stoner, though, is talking about how the players matter. They absolutely do. And you guys are the players in our show right now. We got Tommy T, Michael, the 414, Gus Bus. We got Doug in here. We got, I already said Michael. You guys are chatting all the way. Metaphor is in there. EP's in there. Caleb is in the house. TJ Too Nasty. Allison showing up. I'm surprised she hasn't said anything about Go Birds just yet. Star Force is in the house as well. Do you agree with Stoner? Do the players matter? I hope they more than the coaches. That's what he's trying to say. The players matter more than coaches. But I want to ask, do the players matter? Because that's what we're going to be talking about next here. Who should Washington cut from the roster and who should they extend? Who are those key players Washington extend? All that's coming up. Stay with us here on Ref the District.
The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
Pacers Running. What shoe you wear matters most. You got to make sure you're the right pair of shoes, whether or not you're walking or running, and Pacers Running are going to take care of you for that. Welcome to the game here today on episode 106 of Ref the District. Stoner trying to tell us that the players mattered more than the coach. And in a lot of cases, he might be right. But then again, Stoner also wants to pay Derek Carr $200 million, according
Untrue.
to you can't
slander. It's total slander.
Michael Henderson, coaching makes a difference. Dre, coaches matter. You have to want to play for the coach.
You didn't say that.
Don't misconstrue my words.
You didn't say that.
Coaches matter, but players are what makes the difference.
There you go.
Sure. I'm not going to disagree, especially certain players are going to make you look better, right? If you have a star quarterback and you're the offensive coordinator, Patrick Mahomes makes Eric Bieniemy, as an offensive coordinator, whether or not he's calling plays or not, he's making him better, right? That's the reason why people want Eric B is because he's right now coaching an offense that has Patrick Mahomes. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But there are coaches who elevate their game. There is a coach who was just traded for a first rounder and a second rounder. Okay, so coaching does matter. Coaching is important. Let's just hope Dallas continues having mediocre coaches like McCarthy, and then all will be right in the world.
I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Who?
We're moving on from McCarthy. This isn't a Cowboys podcast. Let's get to the players that Washington needs to let loose for some cash. Currently, they're not actually sitting on a lot of money, but they are expected to have a lot of money, largely because the first one, we all know it's going to happen, right? Yeah. Tell me this is going to happen. Carson Wentz, cut.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right? Saving $26 million there, according to over the cap.
They're going to keep him the mentor Sam at a cheaper deal.
No chance.
No restructure.
Laugh at it now. Laugh at it now. You're going to laugh now, Stoner, but
okay.
Remember, everybody raved about him being a great locker room guy. Ron Rivera said this is the guy we want. It was an unfair situation due to injury. I don't know. I saw this on Twitter. It's a great stat. His last two backup quarterbacks are currently in the Super Bowl or have won a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So might as well just keep him there to mentor Sam, because Sam talked about the camaraderie in the quarterback room. Nobody's probably going to want Carson Wentz as their starter. He's going to be back up somewhere else. So why not just make him the backup in Washington? Restructure his contract and keep him there. He had an unfair deal. He got injured. I mean, and when he played, it wasn't great, but he didn't really get a chance to do it.
I'm sorry, I can't listen to Carson Wentz.
Don't ask the question. You don't want the answer.
Right.
Okay.
I did not expect. I said. I was like,
tell you pregame,
this is going to happen. He's going to get cut.
I told you pre-show. I'm coming with it tonight. And there's
our audio listeners. I definitely removed Trev from the chat here because Lord Almighty, I cannot. You guys know I didn't want Carson Wentz here in the first place.
That's
I said
right.
The best part of his deal was the fact that we can let him loose after the season, and it's fine. We got to let him loose. You can't keep him. He showed that he isn't the guy. Even as a backup, you don't want him as the backup.
Why not? Why not?
What are you restructuring? The guy's making $26 million. Or you restructure what? Are you going to keep him on for 6 years with some dead cap and maybe no? Cut him when he's not worth anything. He doesn't cost you anything right now. You can re-sign. You can sign someone like Baker Mayfield probably for like $6 million. Isn't Baker Mayfield probably a better asset than Carson Wentz at this point?
No. But go ahead.
Teddy Bridgewater?
No. Teddy Two Gloves?
I'm not keeping Carson Wentz on this team. He's getting
Carson Wentz was a former NFL MVP candidate. Teddy Bridgewater did what in the NFL? What did he do? Come on. What do you do? When healthy, what do you do?
Break the bank.
He wore 2 gloves. I tell you that. That's different.
I bet she has fairly similar stats to
probably not too far off there.
Yeah. He probably hasn't had as good a year as Carson had in that 1 year.
He here is with Trev. Now I actually I now have to entertain Trev's Loco conversation here.
Smart.
He's saying bring back Carson.
As a backup, dude. What's wrong with being a backup?
Okay, so all right, so let's play this out. All right, so they cut him. Okay, so that contract is dead, gone, doesn't exist. Now you bring him back instead of restructuring. You bring him back on a whole new contract for $6 million a year as your backup.
I'm done. Take it. Do it,
Nathan.
Do it.
I know you'll do it.
It's more than just the on-field production, and you know that. You do know that. Because Taylor Heineke's on-field production was poopy in general, but everybody loved him for that pylon dive and how he was in the locker room, Moxie. So it's more than just the product on the field.
I'm still not doing it. And for the main reason, main reason why I'm not doing it is because I do not think Carson Wentz fits what Washington wants to do with a
now
QB.
We have a new OC, so who knows?
It's still not what Washington wants to do at QB. I think that they do want a QB who is more mobile than what Carson Wentz brings right now. He's not a mobile quarterback at this point.
We say backup, not
okay.
QB1.
And you know what your backup needs to do? Your backup probably needs to run for their life because your main QB got knocked out for a reason.
Chad Henne hasn't ran for his life in I don't know how long, and that man's been a backup for his whole career, and he's doing just fine. Came in, led that 98-yard drive down the field without being a mobile quarterback. You can do it. It's possible.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, I get.
Come on, Nate. Come on, Stoney. Come with me. Come on.
I agree. I understand the premise of what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But what happened in week 16? Whatever
My
it was?
man hadn't played in how many weeks?
17.
With a brand new offense
against the
17.
Browns. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That has left too much of a bad taste in the organization on what happened on that. And you can't bring him back pretty much just for that reason.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it's kind of
that
similar
reason
to
alone.
why you're Stoner. You don't want to bring back Heineke, right? It's because the fandom has their opinion made on this player already, positive or negative. So it's gonna go ahead, Trent.
You can kind of blame that debacle on the coaches. I would have never put Carson Wentz in after he hasn't played 8 games and we have playoff position on the line. That's just dumb. So it starts off with the coaching moves to put him in that position. He hasn't played in 8 games. Yeah, he's going to throw picks no matter what he said. We're
He played the game before, by the way. Played the second half, didn't he?
Like a quarter. Cool. That doesn't count. He did not take reps with the starters all week.
He played like a quarter and a half. He did play with starters, and he did play under. A lot of people are like, it was preventive defense. It wasn't San Francisco.
Like, come on, Scott Turner calling plays left and right differently, and it was a bad situation with the injury and Taylor Heineke and all that.
You bring up a great point with the new offensive coordinator. Tommy T brings up this great point right here. The new offensive coordinator will want his backup QB. Remember, right now, Washington is telling their offensive coordinator candidates, we want you to roll with Sam Howell.
And I bet they're saying Carson.
And if they get pulled into that and they're like, okay, Sam Howell is QB1, they're going to bring in their Kyle Allen, right? That's exactly what Scott Turner did, right? So, Anthony Lynn is going to find his backup quarterback, or Thomas Brown is going to find some guy who knows the McVay system. So that way, if Sam Howell, the Howlers, do not succeed, then it's going to be okay. We have that backup quarterback, that Gardner Minshew or whoever, to bring Washington to at least some kind of thing there. So I think that's a great point there by Tommy T. As far as that.
How about this, Trev?
Okay. Dog.
Would you be willing to wager $100 that Carson Wentz would be back?
You went from $1 to $100?
Yeah. Would you be willing to wager that?
Stoner, you went from $1 to
yes, sir.
I went to $100.
Straight face too. Did you see that? He was like, "Would you?"
I know. I don't think I have a button for that one.
Or is this real money, or are you just saying it as like
real cold hard cash? You would have to Venmo me, even though I don't have Venmo. You would have to PayPal me $100 if he's not on the roster. Would you be willing to do that? You don't have to. If you say yes, you don't have. It's not a
dog
bet, but
I'm not. No, that's what I want, and what I want doesn't result in what I get. So
right. It's not going to happen.
Smart
is what I'm
man.
saying.
No, it's going to happen, but there's
Well,
a
your money
chance that
counted.
it's not. Obviously, there's a chance that it's not.
It's not.
I'm not willing to risk $100.
I would be willing to risk $10
Okay.
to your $100, or vice versa. My
Let's just do
$100 to your
$10.
$10.
Let's just do $10 in general.
A $10, but you would go with that?
Yeah,
Trev, you're the worst gambler in history. I just offered you 10-1 odds,
that's fine.
and you want 1-1.
No,
odds.
because I know you because you
You're
have
worse
some kind of
gamblers.
inkling and insight on when you propose bets.
Don't
that
bet
you're gonna
Stoner
win.
when he starts
Yeah,
this.
I'm
Yes.
not-
Do
I'm not
not
following
bet
with
Stoner
that.
when he starts.
Hey,
Yeah,
Stoner
just
will
telling
take
you.
control over our account and tell people, they're idiots if they bet against this particular thing. And he normally is quite right. So you make sure, don't go against Stoner when he does these.
no.
When he's doing the
Not when I'm
dollar
feeling it.
bets, you can
right.
make. You can
Like,
make
my man's straight face was like $100, and he said wager. I'm like, oh, he's serious.
yeah, he was pretty serious there. It's kind of like how serious I am about cutting Carson Wentz.
yeah, he gone.
Let's get him off the roster. Stoner,
Yeah.
you have a surprise cut for us.
Yep.
Ooh,
I want to know who that is.
It's almost blasphemous.
I'm agree with him too.
You don't know who it is. Trust
I
me,
think
you
I
don't.
do.
Trev's
You
like
don't
is literally like 4 locos in at this point. I think
And-
there's high noons or whatever, but
Yeah,
And I hate to say it,
I know who it's gonna be.
and let me tell you how much it would save. Okay, I'm gonna look right here.
Stoner, were you gonna get this man's jersey at one point this season?
Cam Curl's his only jersey I think he was going to get, right?
That's my
Yeah.
point.
No,
He ain't
not
cutting
Cam Curl.
Cam Curl.
No.
Okay.
Cam Curl
giving him
needs
a
to be
blank
signed to
check.
a deal. Maybe not what his dad wants, $80 million.
Yeah. Come on, Greg.
Okay, my cut is going to save $8 million.
Perfect to
Okay.
re-sign Carson Wentz back with. Go ahead.
Saving eight.
It's going to save $8 million by cutting this guy.
You're cutting Charles Leno.
I'm cutting Charles Leno. I think I'm cutting Charles Leno. I'm sorry. He is a class act human being. He is available every single game. He is I don't want to denigrate him because of everything that he is as a person. But I just think it's time to move on, especially if you're going to have a rookie back there, or I call him a rookie, but second year guy, Sam Howell back there.
First year starter.
Yeah, you don't want Charles Leno. If you look at the metrics, okay, and I'm not a metrics guy, but if you look at the metrics, there you go from metaphor. He was not good this year. He was not good. He got, I don't want to denigrate him. That's something that I would do. Or I'd restructure, but I definitely don't like the $12.5 million cap hit that he cost.
We know the Leno family's friends of the channel, so we apologize deeply for the
Yes.
conversation that is happening right now.
He's still getting his money. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got some guaranteed money there. He's still getting his money, and he can go play in Houston or something because they live in Texas. So I don't think he would hate it. Right. But I would that would be a surprise cut, and it might happen.
E here mentions moving him to guard. Probably not going to happen, but maybe right tackle. Would a move to right tackle fit? Now, we know Charles, we've talked with his wife, Jen. If there's one thing that's pretty consistent, I think that they've even been vocal about is his desire to be a left tackle.
He's a left. That's right. And they take issue with that. Not just him, but left tackles. They take pride in being that guy, that left tackle. And by the way, left tackles get paid more than right tackles as well. So that's another reason why you want to be a left tackle, but they take pride in that. So yeah, I don't see a move without some opposition to it, but yeah.
And I think that's a common thread there through the comment section, and Gus hitting it with the all caps here. Who you gonna replace him with? Even the top drafted LT isn't guaranteed to be as good.
For sure.
And I think that's fair. Maybe Stoner, would you maybe just restructure his deal? He was only signed for a few years, so it's if you extend him and kind of mellow out the cap hit, do you think that'd be a little bit better? Or do you think because the market's gone up, he's going to cost you more than what he would currently cost you, which is the cap number of $12 million, $12.5 million?
Yeah. I probably would not restructure him. I think it's just time to move on. How old is he? 32? He's going to be 32 by the time the season starts. You know what I mean? I mean, look.
He's 31 and his birthday will hit before then, yeah.
Yeah. So I would probably just be at that point where, look, it's just time to move on. Okay? And you would save $8 million in cap space by doing that. Now you might go out and sign a guy for $18 million a year, and you've lost cap space at that position, but you may upgrade with the player. So that's a surprise one that I would do.
Wow. That I did not expect that. I feel that that's fair though. $8 million is nothing to sneeze at. So that's fair. Ben pointing out that, Leno is 31. He's not going to drastically improve this late into his career. Gus Bus still fighting for him. You'll have a hard time restructuring him because Leno will know his worth, and Gus Bus is on that side, just like he's on Wes Schweitzer's side. Gus Bus loves some of those big guys as well.
Big uglies.
Speaking of one of the big guys who's a potential, we mentioned this last week, Chase Roullier.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cutting him will save $4.3 million on the cap. Now it's $8 million in dead money, but this is an older player who hasn't been able to stay on the field. What are we thinking on Chase Roullier, saving ourselves $4.3 million there?
Yeah, he's gone. Great.
That's a tough one too, because
what you mean?
In general,
he's only 29 years of age.
In general,
yes. Stay healthy.
Listen, in general, yes, you need to move on from the center position, but I mean, that's still a big dead cap hit. $8 million of dead cap money for him is a lot. So maybe you can restructure something with him.
I don't want to. Why would you restructure with somebody who can't finish the season at 29 years old?
Because when he does play, he is a very solid center for this team.
You know what? When I wake up in the morning and do some stretches, I do great that day. Doesn't mean I'm going to do great the next day or the day after that or finish out the week strong. Get rid of him. We've been through center purgatory with the same person year after year. Why are we going to set ourselves up for that? I don't care if you restructure for $500,000. It does not guarantee a full season. He's not shown that. Get rid of him. And I'm going to comment on Charles Leno real quick. I keep him because he's durable, and people are saying, who are you going to put in behind him? And he's the most continuitized offensive lineman we have. So build around him and other people on the line too, because you saw what happened to Cincinnati. They went out and got 3 offensive linemen in free agency, and they were without them in the playoffs, and it showed. And it showed that Leal Collins, Jonah Williams, and Alex Kappa, stud offensive linemen, didn't finish the whole season and spent all that money on that.
So, but didn't they go 17 games with those guys?
Not the year before that.
No, this year. I'm talking about this year.
No.
This year that I think they played, those guys played all year and then got hurt in the playoffs.
No, Leal Collins was out for a while. Jonah Williams probably went 17 and probably missed a couple playoff games, and Kappa's been out.
Kappa definitely did. Kappa definitely went. I'm
pretty
sure that they're all lined. But the point is, yes, you don't know that you can definitely replace him with somebody.
You don't want to risk by spending a lot of money getting somebody who was good at a previous team and they come here like the Colts. All that money on the offensive line, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, such and such, and look what they did this year. That's just a hard position when it comes to cut and restructure and sign, because that's the most important position I think on the field outside of quarterback, because your offense can't run unless you have a decent offensive line.
Yeah.
Why not keep him?
But look, he wasn't great. Okay.
He wasn't terrible either, though. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great.
He kind of was.
He wasn't okay. when he came here, I never thought he was a super stud when he first came here anyway. I thought he was good and durable in Chicago. Like he was good. I never thought he was a stud left tackle anyway.
Right.
So some people might have thought that. So I wasn't expecting too much, but he was serviceable every game. Sixth worst tackle, yeah, but
PFF has him on a 71.6 grade. That's an above average.
I don't know. It all goes. It's much more than. I mean, I don't know. Keep him because he's durable.
Metaphor's right, and then Stoner came back and found that one. The metrics. There are some metrics that put him as the sixth worst. I mean, you can go back and forth on different things. Again, graded as 71.
Where does that rank?
PFF. I'd have to.
Where does that 71.6 rank with all his peers?
I'd have to unlock PFF, and I haven't done that. That's something I'm interested in doing right now.
It's just not great. Okay, and maybe you can find. I get it. If he comes back next year, fine. If they restructure, fine. I'm not going to complain too much about it.
Right.
But you can improve that position.
Yeah.
And you can improve it by only taking the $4 million cap hit for that year. And you can take that $8 million that you're going to save and put it towards a better left tackle.
It's possible, but there's also other ones. We're talking about Chase Roullier, having to replace him. If Charles Leno is somebody you're going to replace, you're going to have to put a lot of money into that line. And so where are you going to get it? What other cuts are you going to be making? Some of the other high numbers here who I would put on the potential chopping block. One of them is a fan favorite. And I know Steve over from the Command This podcast is going to hate this, but Logan Thomas saves you $5.1 million.
Yeah.
If he is cut. Is Logan Thomas, Trev, do you think Logan Thomas makes the roster this next year?
The only way he does is on like a 1 year, 1.2 million, 2.2, like some kind of restructure.
If they restructure or cut him and bring him back. I don't think they'll cut him and bring him back. It's dead cap at 3.5 million, but restructuring maybe.
We love to say restructure, but restructure means he's going to be up on your cap for a longer time.
Right? Yeah, we're talking 5 more years of him being on the cap.
He chose too late to decide to be a tight end after spending his whole life being a quarterback, and he's only getting older at a newer position. He's only been before he came to Washington, he was a practice squad tight end in Detroit and Philly, I believe. So he really didn't get any game action until he came to us. And he was decent.
Nice years, right?
Yeah, he was decent. And then that injury, he's only getting older, and the injuries are getting more serious to him. Cut him. I mean,
I think he's going to be cut. I have
a hard time seeing him latching on anywhere else as a starting tight end, honestly.
He'll latch on. He'll
as a starting tight
end, maybe not as a starter, but he'll get another job. He can play another few years. But
I agree. I think that he'll fit on somebody's team as a tight end too.
I will help Logan.
Or EP notorious. Not a fan of Logan Thomas.
Patterson's in a suitcase with him. It's fine. Go ahead.
Michael saying, no Bobby Vanilla deals. Just pack and leave. Yeah, you're not going to restructure someone like Logan, like I said, especially as old as he is. Like this isn't restructuring a contract for a 28-year-old. This is somebody north of 30 coming off of injury. Unfortunately, fan favorite there gonna go.
Yeah, we talked to him on the channel too. Great guy. No offense, Logan. Great family, all that.
And that's the important thing is we need to make sure we separate the play on the field from the person, because I would say most of these individuals we're talking about are great people, and Logan Thomas is one. We did talk to him on our channel during the draft. Great down to earth guy. Really good interview that we had with him. But when you're talking about the team aspect here, and he's going to save you $5.1 million, you're looking for guys like Armani Rogers and Cole Turner to get more playing time. You have someone like Bates who doesn't cost you much. You don't need 4 tight ends as long as they stay healthy. So Logan Thomas there, probably one of the cap casualties. Even though this next one is going to save you $8.5 million, I don't see Kendall Fuller getting cut. I think Kendall Fuller manages to stay on this roster. A reminder just how young he is. He's only 27 years of age. So even though he saves you $8.5 million if you cut him, do you see that happening? Or maybe this is one of those restructures given how young he is.
Yep.
He did come on late in the season, Trav. You were hard on him in the beginning.
I was so hard on the beginning, and he came on late season, but I think that's my surprise cut, ladies and gentlemen. I think that it's been too much of an up and down year. He hasn't been consistent. He hasn't, and we all know that. If it saves $8 million, we can go get a better corner than Kendall Fuller, who's been here second time around. I really think, I think we can. I think we can.
I think he should be a restructure candidate at 27 years old.
And you want to keep his inconsistency for 5 or 6 more years?
Yeah. I don't know, 5 or 6 is a little long, but 3 or 4 more years, yeah. I think so. I would keep him because you're already, fairly thin at corner anyway. They're definitely going to draft a corner pretty high this year. I think second round they're going to get a corner.
They're going to sign
one.
But
well, if they're going to sign one, then you're going to cut Kendall Fuller.
They're going to sign one.
Because you're not going to have.
I think they're probably going to draft one, is what they're looking at.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to sign unless they cut him. If they cut him,
St. Juiced and Kendall Fuller on the outside.
I think Kendall Fuller only gets cut if you're making a monster deal on a QB. Yeah, like Lamar Jackson, right? Like, because you're trying to open up that space. Obviously, Carson Wentz, and you're cutting the Logan Thomas. Maybe you're cutting Charles Leno because that $8 million. And then you look at Kendall Fuller and you're like, well, this is $8 million more we can put towards the $50 million for Lamar Jackson. I think that's the only way he gets cut. I think that restructuring would probably make more sense. And I don't even know that Washington does that, whether or not Kendall Fuller wants that, because if he has a good season, he ended the season playing well. If he has a good season, he's going to be looking at making more than the $11 million that he is. He might want to play out his contract.
Well, you're going to cut Norwell also, right? You save a few million there.
Yeah, and Trey Turner, right?
I don't know if Trey Turner even has
$2.2 million on Norwell. Cornelius Lucas is actually $3.3 million. Only cost you a dead cap of $900,000 there.
He's great depth. Keep him. When he had to step up and play right tackle, left tackle, he did a phenomenal job, quote unquote phenomenal, for what it's worth. Keep him. We need depth.
Yeah, there are certain guys that no, they're not stars. Some of them aren't even starters, but you do need them for depth purposes.
Lucas, the Casey Two Hills, who would not cost us anything.
Yeah,
but give us $1 million. You keep him on.
Yes.
James Smith-Williams, kind of similar deal there, would save you $1 million.
Yes, they're all young as what. They can only go up from here, so they still have a lot of time.
Troy Apke, by the way, would save $940,000.
Man, you got to keep him depth, baby. It's like the team base.
Doing that one strictly for our man Trev, who big Trapke fan there.
Yes, sir.
A name that I keep hearing from a lot of people, and I understand the kind of the frustration with how the season played out for him, but it's a little bit surprising to hear, is J.D. McKissick is a name that keeps being thrown around by fans. No one's serious in this regard, and not that fans can't be serious, but essentially, it's you're not hearing the rumblings coming from a front office or anything like that, and largely because J.D. McKissick only saves you $1.2 million, and he still costs you $2 million.
Yeah.
Got him.
But a lot of fans may be unhappy with him being injured this back-to-back years, the neck injury back-to-back years. What do you think about J.D. McKissick as a potential cut target?
Yeah.
Says yes. Stoner,
the amount that you're gonna save. No, I would hold on to him. He's as long as he's healthy coming into camp. But if he's not healthy, then
when he was healthy, his role kind of diminished as even a third down pass catcher, because they brought Gibby in to do that a lot. So
yeah,
his role was already getting kind of thrown out the door before he got injured. And 2 years back-to-back neck injury. That's not something to waste money on. That's a serious injury. So.
Yeah, maybe he takes some sort of injury payout or something. I don't know how.
Yeah, you can find a third down back anywhere. I
think that's fair. He is valuable when healthy, and in and Alex Smith is your quarterback, then that's when he is at his best. But you're right, in this sort of run heavy offense that they want to deploy, as long as Robinson and Gibson are healthy, then he's never going to play.
Yeah.
He's going to come in on situational plays and not on just third down plays, but because that'll kind of be Gibson's role. So he'll just be a straight up backup. So, I mean, yeah, maybe you save $1 million here or there. Send it my way. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think Roger on board with that. Put a health designation on him, pay him, let him retire, which is quite possible. Neck injuries are no joke. He's got back-to-back years with the similar or same neck injury. Probably better for him long term. He wanted to come here, and fans were happy to have him. I know we were, and but maybe it is time for him to hang him up.
It could be. That's not up to the front office.
Not up to the front office. It's going to be up to him. What is up to the front office is who they target for an extension. We talked about people they should re-sign, those free agents that they had a potential chance last week. We talked about that. Now let's talk about people who are under contract. We talked about a few that should possibly be restructured to save some cash. Who needs to be signed long term, especially before it becomes too expensive? Because Daron Payne, they had a chance to potentially sign him to a long-term deal last year. He has a monster year this year, and he's going to cost a lot of money. So who can they potentially lock up right now before it's going to cost them even more money?
Oh wait, already happened.
Yeah, the only one that I can see on there that they would probably want to lock up long term would be Montez. And I don't know if that's something that you can do this year. You're in the same position that you were last year going into the offseason with Daron Payne. Yes, he's been very good. He's a first rounder. He's our first rounder. Do we want to sign him to a long term? Probably not. Let's go into the draft and let's draft a defensive tackle to replace him. Same thing with Montez. You're in that same situation. Has he been good? Yeah, he's been pretty good, but he hasn't been great that you want to pay him. Now he might go into this year where he's in his kind of free agent year, and he's going to have this monster year, and then you're not going to be able to afford him. And then you're going to have that same thing with Chase the following year. So he's a candidate. If you believe in him, then now is the time to sign him to a long-term deal. Now, don't wait until he has a 12.5 sack year and blows up all of a sudden, and now he's priced out of your salary cap.
I view him the same light as I view Daron Payne, Montez Sweat. And he has to have someone else going so he can get going. Daron Payne needs Jonathan Allen so he can get going because Jonathan Allen requires so much attention. Chase Young, healthy, requires so much attention. That gave Montez Sweat more opportunities to do what he does and get to the quarterback easier. So I think they both have to go when somebody else goes. They don't just come out and be dominant like Chase and Jonathan Allen from the start. You know what I mean? So that is going to be hard. And I agree with you. I think it would be Montez Sweat that they could possibly see because he's shown the 11.5 sacks or the 10, whatever sacks he had his rookie year. He's shown he can be that player. But I feel like he has to have somebody on the other side to get him going to be that player again like he did his rookie year. So that's your like
what you have right now though. The information that you have right now is all you have. Yeah. So you can't wait until the end of the year.
Do it.
So are you going to sign him, or are you just going to let him play another year and then let him go?
When did we draft him? What pick was he for us?
Late first round. Yeah, we jumped back in the first round to get him.
Yeah, do it. I don't know how long and how much, but just do it. Extend them. Because I don't want to do what we did with Preston Smith. We let him go, and he went to Green Bay and
Preston Smith, Brian Aracapo.
Yes,
and I think that let's.
What? I'm going to let you all get away with that.
What?
Preston
Nathan's on my side for once, and you're going to let me have it.
Preston Smith didn't go ball out.
You heard his name more. You heard his name more in Green Bay.
That man said ball out.
I mean,
he did the same thing he did here.
Which, anyways,
now you got me looking at Preston Smith.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, you're giving up a if Montez Sweat walks, and I like Montez Sweat, okay, let me put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you let him walk, this is kind of like letting Preston Smith and Brian Arakipo. These are good number 2, pass
They're
rushers.
Good. That's right.
They're effective, not too bad. Washington, I did think misplayed, Preston Smith quite a bit. Let's see here. Green Bay sacks. He had 12 his first year in Green Bay, 4, 9, 8.5, which is right about what he was doing for Washington. 8, 4.5, 8, and 4.
Never double digits though in Washington.
Never double digits. Only one double digit though in Green Bay. But that's kind of what I'm thinking of as far as him is like you're going to see the same Montez Sweat, which is a quality pass rusher. Okay, just ignoring the low sack totals, he has a lot of pressure, QB pressures. He has a lot of good run coverage and tackles and those kind of things. So he plays the position well. He's just not playing it as one of the Bosa brothers, right? He's not playing it at one of like one of the Watt brothers,
right?
And so, what would you pay him to, in accordance with that? Because when you're paying these guys, as largely like what happens, and this is going to happen with another one of our targets here is Kam Curl. It doesn't matter if they're, and you see this with QBs. Daniel Jones has been a part of the conversation this week. There's no middle tier for QBs, right? Every time you're paying a QB, and really any NFL player, Christian Kirk last year. No one thought that he deserved that kind of money, but that's what the market dictates.
That's right.
And Kam Curl and Montez Sweat are going to dictate what the market does. So if you look at it, they're going to be looking at what would they earn if they were on a franchise tag? What are the top players earning in their position? And for Montez Sweat, defensive ends make a lot of money. So he might understand, again, he's not TJ Watt. He's not one of the Bosa brothers, but he's still going to be looking for, good money. So those are the things that you have to kind of, think there as far as the defensive ends. $19 million are the exclusive, non-exclusive rights franchise tag. So you have to figure Montez Sweat as a defensive end is probably going to cost you, $17 million to $20 million. Are you willing to pay Montez Sweat that kind of money?
Especially with Chase coming the next year, and especially with, are you signing Daron as well?
No, you're not.
You just signed Jonathan Allen.
You're not signing Daron, so yeah, you do it.
You've got Fedarian Mathis, second rounder. That's a fair chunk of money.
That's a rookie contract.
Yeah, but it's still a chunk of money for a second rounder. Still some cap money. I don't know what he costs. I can look it up here.
Daron Payne wants all the money in the world, and we don't have it for him. We're not.
We're going to be tagging Daron Payne in the cool down. So hold off on any Daron Payne conversation. Montez Sweat, are you willing to pay him $18 million a year?
How many years?
People weren't willing to pay Brandon Sheriff, who was a all-pro guard, $18 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to pay not even a Pro Bowler $18 million a year?
How many years?
5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what you would have to do.
Do it.
I probably would not.
Who are you going to go get to replace him?
I mean, you're going to end up having to draft a guy. But, I mean, you do have Montez Sweat this year. You don't have to draft a guy this year, right? You can see if one of the guys behind him develops. If Chase does well and you get Smith Williams and Tuhill to play well alongside him, then you let Montez Sweat get his money somewhere else.
Oof. What if
I would?
So I know you say you don't wait until he gets double digits, but this year, let's say week 8, he has 9 sacks already. Does that ease your decision halfway through the season that he already has 8 sacks? Does that help your decision at the end to extend him? Like, what number of sacks by the middle of the season will it take to make that a definite answer?
If you don't extend him now, you don't sign him after. Because if he has this great year, then he's just priced himself out of your market. Because now instead of the What did you say? 15 to 18 million that he might make this year because he hasn't done a whole lot, but the
he's going to make
$11
million. Yeah.
Right. So if you sign him in this offseason, you could probably sign him for 15 million a year. Okay. But if he has a monster year, you're not signing him for 15 million. Now you got to pay him 22 million.
Okay.
Right. And now you're also looking at, again, you got Chase Young coming up in this offseason or at the end of the season, and you're going to have to pay him. So you have to decide now, this offseason. If you don't extend him, that means you're done. Right? If you do extend him, then you do it for 5 years. But you can't not extend him and then have him go out with 14 sacks for the year, and then you can't.
And then end up in the Daron Payne situation where you've just priced yourself out.
Him or something, or
that's why they're so similar, because they're the same type. They have to have their opposite player to get them going.
I will disagree a little bit with Daron Payne. Like I said, we'll save the Daron Payne there, but we'll put a pin on that particular part of that. Remind me in the comments to talk about how Daron Payne's not necessarily a person who needs a Jonathan Allen on the other side. Put that in the comments somewhere so I remember to talk about that. Let's go over to the next one. This is a guy who Stoner wants to buy the jersey for. Now, if he's only got one more year with Washington, Gregory says Curl's not worth 19 to 20 million a season. Sorry, draft another safety. Gus Bus, I believe, was up here. Yep, Gus Bus says Curl is probably not a top 10 safety in the league. The 10th highest paid safety gets $13 million a year. I'd offer Curl an extension of 4 years, $52 million, and $35 million guaranteed. First question is, do we think that would get the job done?
Right. Would Kam Curl sign that? No. He's not going to sign that. You can offer him all you want. He's not going to sign it, though. He's going to demand top 10 safety money.
You can demand all you want, dog. PFF don't get you paid.
Okay.
PFF does play a part of that. And Allison saying PFF had Curl as the top 2 safety. Those are absolutely points that the agents bring to the table here. The safety pay, by the way, and I agree that he would be. I would consider him maybe not a superstar in the way that you'd see Derwin James or Fitzpatrick, maybe a Jamal Adams, who are the top 3 paid highest safeties. But I would say that, some of these other Marcus Williams, Quandre Diggs, Budda Baker, like he's in that kind of category, at least for Washington fans. And obviously PFF thinks very highly of him as well. The thing is this is a Christian Kirk situation. It doesn't matter what we rank him, right? You can say he's a top 10 safety. You can say he's 10 to 15 safety. He's going to end up earning top 5 safety money, which is anywhere from $15 million to $19 million a year. So it's another one of these. Maybe you hit in the middle. Maybe he gets Jamal Adams money at 17.5. Is that going to be 70, maybe 80 million over the course of over how many years that it makes the AAV come out to be the right thing?
It's difficult with Curl, and I don't have the stat right in front of me, but somebody put the stat out there in the yards per game defensively that Washington gave up with Curl and without Curl. And there's a huge difference.
That's pretty bad.
The first 3 games he was out, I believe, maybe it was just the first 2. It was the first 2 games he missed was Detroit and Jacksonville. And they had big play after big play after big play, especially Detroit, right? Then he comes back and settles that defense down all the way through. And then he missed 1 or 2 games later in the year, and the defense got shellacked again. Okay? And then he comes back, and then the defense settles in again. So you can say PFF is not we shouldn't be paying attention to PFF. Well, the league does. Okay? The league subsidizes their pay, whatever the proper term is. They pay PFF for the information, and they use that information. The leagues do. The teams do, right? Ron Rivera has mentioned PFF on numerous occasions that he pays attention to their analytics. So they pay attention to all this stuff, PFF or whomever, Doesn't matter. They pay attention. So those rankings do mean something. And he makes a difference with this defense. If you want to just use old school defensive rankings, yards given up per game, when he's in there, it's way down. When he's not in there, it's way up. He's a difference maker. I'm a little bit biased because I love watching him play, but he is a difference maker on this defense. And we've been complaining about safety play for years and years and years. Now you got a chance to have Derek Forrest / Kam Curl safety play for the next 6 or 7 years and not worry about it. So I would extend him. I would give him a long-term deal for whatever he ends up agreeing to, whatever the market bears.
What do you think, Trav? You had your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. One reason why we just lost Chris Harris, our defensive backs coach. How do we know somebody replacing him? It can make Kam Curl be a Kam Curl as of before. Second, it's really sad when Kam Curl, a probably top 15 to 20 safety, is hurt and it affects our entire defense during the season. That's really bad. Second, we have so much more other things to fix rather than extending Kam Curl at the safety position.
This is kind of Michael's point there. Is Michael doesn't want to spend 20% of the cap on two defensive players. My counter argument to that is if that's what your team is, right? If your team is a defensive team, you're winning games off of running the football and playing strong defense. I think that paying 20% for those caliber of players, which by the way would essentially be Jonathan Allen and Kam Curl, who you're saying are the linchpins, which Doug agrees with. Curls is our defensive linchpin here, agreeing with Stoner. Maybe that's not so bad. You know, I would like to see more invested into the offensive line to help out. But if you're going to go with Sam Howell on a rookie deal, you have some of that money to do. Shauna, thanks for joining us here. Yeah. Shauna's about to leave, but
Kam Curl was good for us and our fan base only. And yet PFF had him top 2 safeties. I don't really know what games they were watching, really. He didn't really flash to me as much as he did before when he gave us the reason to talk to him about him this season. He was hurt. I think they missed him mainly because of his play calling in the backfield, not necessarily his play, because we had Landon Collins. He did the same thing for us before Kam Curl.
Landon Collins did flash in a very similar role.
And he went to the Giants and made the playoffs in the same role. So it's not like this. We can't find someone else better than Kam Curl to do it. He was great for us while he, was here. He's great. I don't think he deserves the market that he's going to demand for. I really don't. I give that money more to All Pro Revo faster than Kam Curl. And that's just my hot take on that.
Well, I mean, Revo plays like 10 plays a game, but okay. I mean, Curl plays every defensive play.
I'm just saying, he's a safety.
Revo plays 10 plays a game.
I know he made him a special teams, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't see Kam Curl being that lights out player that PFF has him graded as.
The perfect scenario, and I think this goes for any fan of this team or any fan of any team, but specifically any fan of this team. The perfect scenario is that you draft a guy, you develop a guy, and then you keep a guy. And that's exactly what they've done with Kam Curl so far. They drafted him, they developed him, and now when it's time to pay him, we just want to kick him to the curb and start all over.
I don't think that's a good plan, bro. We have so many other things we could spend that money on rather than
it ends up being what the market dictates. I will say this. Here's my particular hot take on this. If Defoe continues to progress, as we saw this last year, I do think Defoe will make more money. And it's not just because of the market being raised every year, but more so because, and this is what Trev's kind of point is when it comes to Kam Curl. Now, Stoner, you and I are on the same page when it comes to Kam Curl. We like the way he plays. We think that he just plays good quality football. The reason why Defoe is going to end up on more people's radar is because Defoe makes the splashy plays. Defoe's the one who's getting the interceptions, who's running across the field to do these highlight type plays. And Kam Curl doesn't have a whole lot of highlight plays to his reel right now. He just plays quality, solid football. And I do think that makes a difference. And I think a lot of people don't want to pay Kam Curl money because of that, right? Because he's not shown up in the stat sheet with these pass defenses or these interceptions. That's not the kind of player he is. He's just one of these players who just makes your team better. And I'm sorry, to me, I still want to pay
all that money
Kam Curl. I'd pay him $14 to $15 million a year. That's Justin Simmons, Buda Baker money.
But you won't pay Montez Sweat that?
I would pay Montez Sweat $15 million a year.
Say what?
I would pay Montez Sweat $15 million a year.
We just went over that. You said you wouldn't.
No, I said no. I don't think I did. I don't think I said that I wouldn't pay him that $15 million. I wouldn't pay him that upper echelon money. But I said I probably.
That's tough,
I don't think that he would take $15 million. I'm talking about Montez Sweat if we're going backwards.
Yeah.
You think Cam will take $15 million?
I think he would take a 5-year, $90 million deal.
Oh my God! How much is guaranteed?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say like $40 million guaranteed, something like that.
Oh my God, for Kam Curl?
Yeah,
that's what the market dictates.
Because of a little number 2 on a PFF. That's it. We're going
for the record. 80 years at $5 million would be $16 million a year. So
yeah, but I'm just talking about. I wouldn't give him that guaranteed.
We don't even have a DB coach anymore. What if he doesn't? What if the new DB coach has him playing somewhere else and not in the box anymore? Then what's he gonna do?
Okay, again,
we wasted all that money. Maybe he's not a natural. Maybe he's not a natural born linebacker, just too small, and maybe he's not a cover guy.
Why all of a sudden is Chris Harris the only guy that can coach Kam Curl?
I'm not
other guys in the world who can coach him.
I'm just saying. Just saying. It happens.
But I'm that guy. I'm that guy. You draft him, you develop him, you pay him.
Yeah, if it's deserving, you can't just say it because you draft him.
It's deserving, and I'm not saying it just because of PFF. Like
what
he's
else
been
is
making
it?
plays since he's played as a rookie.
So is Montez Sweat, and you had a harder time.
Bear it out.
You had a harder time saying that about Montez Sweat, and he's been making plays since he's been in the league too. Just as quiet as Kam Curl, but now all of a sudden you're so ready to give Kam Curl money because of PFF number 2.
It's not because of PFF.
No, it's because in 3 games Washington gave up 91 points.
That's not only because of Kam Curl.
The common denominator. You're right. It's not only because of him. But one of the common denominators was Kam Curl wasn't in the game. When Montez Sweat doesn't play, I feel like Bradley King, Tuhill, and all those, they're not as good as Montez Sweat. I'm not saying that they're on the same tier, but they're serviceable.
Here's the difference, Trev, between the Montez Sweat and the Kam Curl. You don't have Kam Curl doesn't have a Chase Young behind him that you have to sign the next year playing the same position. Okay, he doesn't have that. He's the guy. He's the guy that's the anchor, the guy who makes the plays back there. Okay. On the defensive line, you can't have 2 guys that are going to make $20 million a year playing the same position. You can't do that. You can't afford that.
I'm not giving Cam that much money, Stunner.
I get
Gus Bus brings up this one. You can actually wait until next offseason to give Curl top 10 salary. With a year left on his current deal, you get Kam Curl at a discount right now. Now, this kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier as well. Kam Curl doesn't have these flashy plays that gets recognized by, everyone and with these huge flashy interceptions or tackles or anything like that. Maybe the market is still there for him next year and he stays with Washington. What do you think about kicking that down the can?
Because
that can down the street.
Kicking the can down the road?
Yeah.
Kick it. What did you say?
I just said kicking the can. I just said kicking the can down.
Kick it down the can.
Down the can.
I think if next year, if you wait until next offseason, Well, guess what? Now you got to compete with 31 other teams to get.
That's
him, because
fine.
He's an
but
unrestricted
guess what?
free agent.
There's probably 15 other better safeties out there than Kam Curl that you're willing to pay for that. Just saying.
Well, the number's going to go up again, okay, for every reason, assuming he has a decent enough year. The number's going to go up just because numbers always go up. So you're going to pay him more. And now you're going to get into a bidding war with other teams. This year, he can sign with you and nobody else. And so it's your offer against his agent's offer or his dad, whichever. Or I think maybe it's both. So that's what you
all
have
of
to
the
do.
above.
Yeah. So that's the advantage of signing him now.
When did we draft him?
4 years ago.
No, where at did we draft him? Do you remember?
Seventh round from
Oh
Arkansas.
my gosh! And we're okay. Next,
You can't.
next person.
He's a seventh player who's playing well. Trev, stop looking at his draft position now. Look at what he's done in the last 3 years in the league. That's what you're looking at. We're gonna move on because
and we still have won no more than 9 games in those 3 years with him at safety. I'm not wasting money on that.
Okay. Moving on.
Just
Stoner brought up why maybe waiting to pay Kam Curl's a bad idea, and that's because you're in competition with 31 other teams. Washington has that happening right now with Daron Payne. They can tag him this year, but it's going to cost them. That's all coming up here on The Cool Down. Stay with us.
The Cool Down is brought to you by Manscaped. Ever since my Nathan started using their products, I can't cool down. Fellas, trust me. Go to Manscaped right now and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code REF. Your ladies will appreciate you. Now back to Trev, Stoner, and my Manscaped man, Nathan.
Make sure you head out to manscaped.com. Use the code REF. Get yourself 20% off and free shipping. Get all that good swag there. I love the boxer briefs, and the shower stuff has been really good to me. So make sure you get out there, get that yourself right there. If you're looking to have a birthday coming up, it is EP's birthday month. So
it's my mother's birthday month too, EP. So
there you go.
It's also Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Yep.
You get your man something. Make sure you head out there, manscaped.com. Use the code REF, 20% off and free shipping. Daron Payne is going to cost this team some money, more than likely, if they want to keep him. Defensive tackle, looking at a tag price of $18.9 million. So really like $19 million there. Now, they could potentially use the transition tag.
Mm-hmm.
That's only $16 million.
But what's the difference?
$3 million.
Thank you for the radio math there, Trev. I mean, what's the difference between the transition tag and the non-exclusive tag?
The non-exclusive, so it's the non-exclusive rights franchise tag that they can do, and that's the one that's $19 million. So
that's the one I think they can tag and trade.
Yes,
but the
tag
transition
and trade.
one, I don't think you can.
Do it.
Something weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I meant to do this before the show. I was working, but I'm gonna get that answer for you unless someone puts it in the chat before I get there.
Michael just put it in. He said
Mike put it in there. Yeah, the transition tag, 1 year tender offer for the average for the top 10 positions, as opposed to top 5 for the franchise. It guarantees the original club the right of first refusal to match any offer they might receive. That's what it is. So it's non-exclusive. You get nothing for the transition tag. So looks like most people here that's, we're looking at potentially using the non-exclusive tag, the regular franchise tag, as most people would just refer to it as.
Mm-hmm.
Trev, you kind of made a sour face there.
Do they have to agree to the tag in order for us to do that?
They have to sign it, and if they don't, then they don't
just
get
won't
any
play
money.
for the
they
year.
won't play.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know if that's going to be enough for Daron Payne, because I feel that man wants a bag, right? And I feel
but is he going to sit out an entire season?
No, he's going to go get money somewhere else.
But he can't. If you offer him, if you make that tag, you say I am putting the non-exclusive tag on you, then you're stuck with us. It's either you sign it and play with us, or you don't play at all. You can't go anywhere else.
I mean, I guess
the transition tag is the one, Trev, where he can still go out and try to get paid, and Washington either says, "Yeah, no, we're mind, you're gonna walk."
And they could honestly do that, bro. They drafted for Darren Matheson second round for a reason, didn't they?
I think it's more likely that you're going to see him get franchise tagged for $19 million. Either he plays that or not, or they might potentially trade him. I don't necessarily see him getting Rodgers' deal here, which is $100 million, 5 years, $75 million guaranteed, and $30 million upon signing. That's a huge deal
for Daron Payne.
Yeah.
No,
that's a little high.
I agree with Caleb. I think if they tag him with the attempt to just want to play him again this year to see if he gets double-digit sacks again, I can see Daron Payne sitting out a year.
I mean, he might. I mean, can he come back and say, "I don't want to play for you guys," and they like, "Well, we can give you the transition tag"? Does he have a right to say what kind of tag he wants?
Washington's going to dictate what he's going to get, and then Daron Payne will dictate whether or not he signs it.
That's tough, bro. That's tough. Because I'm just going based off like his locker room cleanout interviews and this and that. The only thing he was worried about was, why I played. Like, I'm trying to get, why I'm trying to get that bag pretty much. He didn't care about the new coach, the sell the team, the Pro Bowl, all that, man, about the 8-8 potentially making the playoffs. None of that. He was just talking about that bag. So, like, I don't know, guys. That
$19 million is a pretty big bag, though.
That's what I'm saying. But like, it is for 1 year. But like, we don't have a lot of money, and we need help.
Money is limited. People make the cap work all the time.
I know they do. It's just tough.
One of the things that's interesting here, I'm going to disagree with E that Daron Payne's a top 5 defensive tackle in the NFL. I don't think he's that high. I would put him in the top 12. And he's going to get top 5 money. This is one of the things that's I think is interesting. Daron Payne's going to make more money than Jonathan Allen.
Absolutely, he is.
I do not think Daron Payne's a better player than Jonathan Allen, but
just the market,
when you're selling, this is one of the things that was talked about earlier when we're talking about restructuring deals and extending players compared to when you let them hit the open market. Jonathan Allen was a player that Washington got too early and gave him that extension, which means they got him for cheaper. Daron Payne, you don't have that luxury. Daron Payne is going to have a market there for him because he is an explosive defensive tackle. People are seeing how pass rushers in the center of your defensive line are valuable. And so, sorry about that for our audio listeners as I hit my mic stand. The Daron Payne is going to get more than likely a deal that Rodgers said, something like $100 million for 5 years. Guarantees are going to be wherever the guarantees lie, but he's going to get paid $20 million a year. Now, is Washington going to pay him $20 million a year?
Yeah, I don't. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
So if they don't give him the contract, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then he can play out the season, right? He's under contract this year or no?
Yeah,
Daron Payne is not under contract.
Right, okay.
So
that's why they got a franchise tag him.
So if they let him go, okay, they're going to get a compensatory pick, a 3rd rounder. That's pretty much a lot.
Sorry, that's not exactly true. If they let him go, if they choose not to re-sign him, he signs with another team for the $100 million, and Washington doesn't sign big free agents in return. That's how they get the pick. But if Washington goes out there and signs the Orlando Brown, who a lot of people keep mentioning, that's a top tackle who's going to cost you a lot of money. You probably don't end up with a 3rd round comp pick for Daron Payne. It's a
complicated equation.
Yeah.
So he's a free agent right now?
Orlando Brown, yes.
No. Daron Payne.
Daron Payne is an unrestricted free agent. That's why you have to tag
He's not
him.
unrestricted.
I was going to say, how do we release someone who's a free agent? That's what I'm confused about.
What we're saying is you don't sign him. You don't go after him or tag him.
Yeah, so we don't even have to do the tag, right? We don't have to.
You do not have to give him a tag.
Well, yeah, you don't have to tag him. You can just let him walk.
Yeah, let him walk. I'm trying to say that earlier.
But Trev, if you tag him,
he is unrestricted, by the way.
Then you can trade him.
For what? What do we get in return, you think?
Maybe you can get a second rounder. I don't know if you
if you tag and trade?
Yeah.
Maybe you get a worthy enough player back.
And then trade
let
him
go, bro. Just let him go.
Just let him go for nothing?
Bro, we got Darian Mathis. That's why we drafted him. It's not like we let him go for nothing. We had something.
I get that, but you have an opportunity to get something.
Let him go, bro. We need help elsewhere. I'm not spending all this money on the defense in the off season. I'm not doing it.
I'm not saying that you have to tag him just so that you can keep him.
Right.
But if you tag him and then trade him and get something for him, okay, you don't have to pay that money anymore.
I don't know.
But now you get some draft picks.
Well, what if it's not the draft picks that we think that we should get? I don't want to play that game.
You still get it better than nothing.
Let the man walk, bro. Who knows that draft pick's going to be good? No matter what draft pick we get. That's what the draft picks and stuff do not mean jack squat to me at all. Because
if you're looking, so you have to build through the draft, Trev. If you can look for a free agent or you tag and trade. Here's the thing: again, comp pick that you're going to get from him, right, or potentially get from him, only works out if you don't sign anybody big. Trev, you're wanting to sign somebody who's going to make an impact this year, right? I'm assuming that's what you want.
You could do that without having to go through the whole tag and trade, get a compensatory pick. You can,
but then you're not going to get a comp pick for it. And that's what
I don't give a damn about a comp pick. I want to win now. I want to go get me somebody who's, I don't comp picks
Trev,
and draft picks.
Let me ask you this, Trev. All right. A hypothetical for you, right? I can give you a second round draft pick. Okay. Or that's option A. Option B, I don't give you a second round draft pick.
That's fine.
Which one do you want?
It doesn't matter, dude. Because what if the person we pick in the second round is you don't know what a second round draft pick is going to guarantee you, bro. You don't know.
Okay.
And you don't know it.
But you still have a chance that a second round pick can be something good.
You have a chance at going to get a free agent without having to worry about the draft too, just as much as you have a chance in the draft.
That's fine. But I'm offering this to you for free.
And thank you very much.
And you don't want it? You don't want a second. Nathan, why are you not losing your mind?
Who was our second round pick this past year? Who was it?
Darian Mathis.
I'm not losing my mind.
Who was our second round pick before that?
Might be honest.
Cosme.
Who was?
Cosme.
Before that.
I don't know. I can't.
Exactly. And Cosme, we see what he was.
Probably
he's not
Ryan
the
Anderson.
we thought was a second round. For Darian Mathis didn't even play a down because he was hurt. So the second round pick does not mean jack squat to me due to our draft history, bro. It doesn't matter.
So just for the record, you did draft Jahan Dotson. You did draft Jonathan Allen. You did draft.
Yeah, obviously. But
Daron
come on,
Payne,
bro. Second round, come on. We drafted. Come on.
They have been pretty bad in the second round.
I don't care.
Nathan, do not let him get away with this.
I don't care, bro. It's a second round.
One of the things that is true here. Let me see who put it on there. Gus Bus here. The risk of a tag and trade. You do have to find a partner. Now, Stoner.
Thank you.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think they go in with the idea to tag and trade without already having an idea of who that partner is.
Of course.
Right. Even though technically, there's probably like some period of time where you can't really negotiate all that and everything. They're absolutely going to they're going to feel this out. They're going to tag him if they want him to stay here, and they're going to tag and trade him if they find a partner.
Yes.
What I don't think they're going to do, even though Roger brings up a great point here with the 5-2 front, I just don't see them signing him. I just don't see them spending that kind of money.
Let him
on
go,
him.
dog.
They are willing to pay the tag price for him and let him play again this year. I don't think that Daron Payne wants to play on that.
Nope.
And we'll see how
Let
it
him
goes
go.
there.
Stoner, let him go.
I'm not saying you don't let him go,
I don't
but
care
you have
about
an
a
opportunity
pick.
for a free draft pick and you don't want it.
I don't
This
want
is
it,
the
dude.
most outrageous thing
Bro,
you've ever said.
I am
Trev.
ready to win
Most
now. I am sick and tired of getting these draft picks and developing
Why
them.
can't a
and
second
getting there.
rounder help you?
You
now?
hate being a good team, Trev?
No, I do, but like
That's
I'm
what good
tired of
teams
this
do, is
stuff.
they
bro, because
draft,
it
they
doesn't-
develop, and
it
they get good
doesn't work
players.
out that great for us. Honestly, think about
Is
it.
that
Really
enough
doesn't.
excitement for you?
Okay,
I mean,
so
the
just
Jahan
because
Johnson
it
was
hasn't,
first round.
just because a second rounder hasn't been great the last couple of years, doesn't mean it will never be great.
Oh my!
Why
I know,
can't
but
it
I
be?
don't want because there's other players out
But
there.
it's
and
free.
I don't
It doesn't
care.
cost you anything.
I don't care.
This
I don't care. I just don't want a draft
This-
pick. I don't want a draft pick. I don't.
Trev is not
We
allowed
were this close
to do
to- we
any
were this-
draft pick talk
What?
anymore.
Yeah, I don't want a
He's
draft
now
pick.
banned from all
I don't want a
draft,
second round draft pick. Cool. Cool. Who's the best player available at that position? What if the second round's the last pick of the second round, and the best player there is, I don't know, a tight end that we don't even need? We're gonna pick
Okay.
a tight end.
Google. I love Google. Google is just the most amazing.
I don't want it, and I don't
Thing
care.
ever.
People can call me the worst GM ever. I don't care. Draft picks. We said this a few episodes ago. Like we don't even care where we pick in the draft, but now all of a sudden it's a second round. We should be happy about it.
But it's free.
Uh,
You don't have to give up anything for it.
I don't care. Free is not always the best, bro. And you know that, and Nathan knows that. In our lives, over 1,000 years combined of years age, free is not always the best.
Let's Daron Payne. This is the defensive lineman market, the top 10 according to FanDuel. You got Javon Hargrave from the Eagles. You got Yannick, not even going to say his name, from the Colts. Yep. Dalvin Tomlinson from the Vikings, Zach Allen from the Cardinals, Brandon Graham from the Eagles, and Sheldon Rankins from the Jets to go with Daron Payne. Is that a deep enough defensive lineman, for the free agents? Is that deep enough to get him paid or to be able to tag and trade him?
Yes. All those guys are studs or have been studs.
He's listed as number 2 on this list, by the way, only behind Hargrave.
Yeah. Because you have other pieces on the line. You don't need Daron Payne for $19 million to make our defensive line as great as what it was.
Nobody's saying that.
I know you're not saying that. I'm just saying my opinion. You don't need to tag him just so he can play one more year for us and then let him go next year. Let the man walk.
And trade him.
You got to find a partner.
Okay. That's not that difficult.
So
If
what
he's
the
as
partner
valuable as
only
he
wants
is.
to offer back a 5th round pick as the highest we get, or a compensatory, or whatever the whack pick, the comp pick is, not a real pick. What if that happens? Seriously.
Okay, that's a great.
What if people don't think Daron Payne is worth a second rounder?
That's a great
he's
what
not
if.
worth it. He's not worth a second rounder, in my opinion.
That's a great what if. Okay, that's a fine what if. Okay, but
So why
what if a
even
team
make that?
offers a first rounder?
They're not. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Okay,
first
well, they're
rounder's
not
out of the
offering a
question.
5th rounder either.
Why not? How many sacks Daron Payne
You
have
do
this
not
year?
tag and trade him for less than a second. Period.
And it's not. He's not worth a second. A third is the highest I'll give you.
I
for
disagree
Daron
with
Payne.
you. He's not worth a second.
I'll give you a
He is
third.
absolutely.
I'll give you.
We
a
already
third.
have one bet, Trev. For
I'll
$10
give you- I
on
never
Carson
agreed.
Wentz.
I'll give you a third, the highest for Daron Payne. What do you do when Jonathan Allen wasn't in there? What do you do? What do you do? How many sacks did he have when Jonathan Allen didn't play? How many quarterback
I
pressures
don't know.
did he
He
have?
only missed one game, the last game of the year, I
He
think.
missed
John
two,
Allen.
right? He missed 2.
I think he only missed the last game of the year. But
Well, the
whatever.
season before that, when John Allen
Daron
missed
Payne
time.
is a solid player in his own right. Your guys didn't remind me in the chat. I told you to remind me in the chat. Daron Payne is a good player in his own right. He is a better player with Jonathan Allen by his side, but that's because Jonathan Allen is in this last season played at an all-pro level. Okay. But Daron Payne is a disruptive, above average player. Like this is, he's listed rightfully so as one of the top 10 defensive linemen free agents this year. I believe that he is in the top 15. I'd even put him in the top 12.
Why is he there?
Interior defensive linemen.
Why is he there?
How many interior defensive linemen get double-digit sacks, Trev? Go ahead and Google that for me. I'll wait. Okay,
you're done. That's it, Trev. Okay. You're done.
And go ahead.
Okay. All right. You're right. Players. But they've done it by themselves. Daron Payne's been beside Jonathan Allen since Alabama. You don't know what he's like by himself. He's been, think about it. They were the Alabama Wall. They were a tag team. They're best when they're together. Everybody knows that. When one of them doesn't play with each other, it's a different story. Daron Payne needs Jonathan Allen to get him going. You can pull up stats. Right now. You can do all you want, but Daron Payne has not played beside Jonathan Allen since he was 20-some years old in college, freshman year. He hasn't. Aaron Donald by himself at the Rams. Chris Jones with Frank Clark there, but by himself. There's been others too. Maybe not this year, but there's others. No, Allen is good without Payne. Yes, he is. Why did he get an extension already? For what? Why'd they wait so long to do Daron Payne if Daron Payne's that great of a tackle? Why'd they go draft Rivera Mathis second round if Daron Payne is that stud of a D tackle? Why are we in a situation where it's either franchise tag him or let him walk if he's that good of a defensive tackle? For what? Why? Why won't they extend him now? Why didn't they do it last year? Do it in the middle of the season? Why haven't they done it yet?
You understand.
Why haven't they done it?
For the record, you do understand that Jonathan Allen was drafted 1 year. And Daron Payne was drafted the next year.
And who got the extension first?
Therefore,
because John Allen played a full
year.
You didn't have to give him an extension.
Listen, therefore, Daron Payne played a year at Alabama without Jonathan Allen and was a first-round pick. So all that rant that you had, that he's never played without Jonathan Allen.
In the NFL. In the NFL.
You talked about the Alabama Wall.
I did. So I missed Alabama, 1 year. Sorry.
High school and all
point blank, dude. Why would you, but seriously, why would you go draft an interior lineman from the same school when you already have D Payne and you wanted to extend them? Why'd you do that? Because you didn't want to extend them. Why? There's got to be a reason. Think about it. Second round of the draft, you go get Rivera Mathis defensive tackle. You already locked up J.A. You already have Chase Young on one end. You already have Sweat on the other end. So why'd you get another one so early if you were so sure about Daron Payne?
All right, so that's going to lead me into my final point for the night here. Okay, Washington fans, and we've seen it in the chat here as well. Okay, Washington fans want quality players. They want these star type players. Okay. Why then are we so hard up when it comes to actually playing the players that are looked at by the league as being top 15 in their position? Daron Payne is top 15 in his position. Why do we not want to pay him the money that a top 15 defensive tackle would earn? I don't get it. I don't get how we want quality players, Trev. And then you're sitting here, I'm like, no, let him walk. Or we see this, we let him walk. He's not worth that kind of money. We saw it with Brandon Sheriff as well. These are all pro players. These are Pro Bowl players that fans are like, no. And by the way, we're playing with house money as fans. Okay. We don't like the cap. That's not us paying the paychecks. So I don't get why, I don't think for reasons that they're going to pay Daron Payne. I do think a tag and trade is more than likely the route they're going to go here. But why do fans not want a player who's, again, top 12, in my opinion, in their position? There's only so many defensive tackles in the league. Every team has one that's 32. You're saying that I'm saying that he's in the top 10% of that, roughly. Why are we paying him money?
I don't know. Why did we let it get to this point where it has to be a franchise tag rather than an extension? If we were so high on Daron Payne as a franchise, that's what I'm saying. Why did we go draft a D tackle in the second round? Since you guys are so high on the second round pick, well, we did that this year, and we got Daron Payne's replacement. I mean, I'm just going by what the organization's doing. If we wanted him so bad, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Do we tag him or not, or tag and trade? It'd be like, oh, Daron Payne was signed for next. So I that's what I'm saying. Obviously, the organization feels a certain way about Daron Payne. If all they want to do is tag him for one more year and then let him walk, or tag him.
That's what we're saying he's going to do.
I know, but and then if they never drafted a D tackle second round, seriously, I would probably be like, yeah, you keep him. But they made that move for a reason. You don't just blindfold pick a D tackle second round of the draft, guys. You just don't do it.
As E says here, Ioannidis and Settle are why we got Mathis.
No, that's not true at all.
Okay.
You don't draft a guy in the second round to replace the backup
55% of the snaps. You want to do a free defensive lineman or interior defensive lineman.
You drafted Mathis to replace Payne.
Thank you.
He leaves.
Potentially. Absolutely.
As a starter this year, right? That's why he didn't get a big contract last offseason. So I agree with Nathan, who says, look, we draft players, we develop them, and then all of a sudden we don't want to pay them. No, we should draft them, develop them, and pay them. So that I agree with, like in the case of Kam Curl. We drafted a 7th rounder. We developed him into a top safety. We should now pay him, even if it's going to cost top safety money. The difference with Payne, in what I agree with Trev, partly, is that you have a Jonathan Allen that you've already paid. You have a Montez Sweat coming up. You have a Chase Young coming up. You can't pay all of these guys top money at their position, or else you're not going to be able to pay the rest of the team. So I agree with you there, Trev.
Thank you.
However, you still can get something for him instead of just letting him walk.
We don't know that, bro. We don't know how everybody else feels about Daron Payne.
Yes, I can promise you this.
The Falcons is the only team I've heard so far. That's it.
I can promise you this, Trey.
What are they going to give us?
They will get something if that's what they decide to do. I guarantee it. I guarantee it with my 401k.
Oh, man. Okay. We're going back to your 401k.
They're getting something.
You have to retire
if
eventually.
They are going to. If that's the route that they decide to do, we're going to tag him so that we can trade him, so that we can get something for him instead of just letting him walk out the door and, have fun. See you in the the games we're going to play against you or whatever. No, you got to get something for him. That's all I'm saying.
You did. You got it last year in the draft. That's what you did.
I don't want Payne.
I shared it earlier. Gregory says you pay top dollar only for QB, LT, and pass rusher. That's it. Just going to point out that our pass rushers are coming from the inside, as Daron Payne had 11.5 and Jonathan Allen had 7.5. That's 19 sacks coming from your interior defensive linemen. And that's why Code Talker here says, for the panel, Allen and Payne have been more productive than Sweat and Young. Keep the interior and draft new edge rushers.
Because Chase Young's supposed to play on a torn ACL. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, a lot of people still putting out the Chases. In fact, when we're talking about Chase Roullier, we saw a lot of Chase Young hate in the chat. Chase Young will be a topic for another day.
And he was.
By the way,
guys, come on.
The top guys who are getting paid on the Eagles are a cornerback, a right tackle, a defensive tackle, a center, and then you have a defensive end. Then you got a wide receiver.
And where are they at right now?
So I just wanted to kind of debunk that theory that normally that's true. That's who you pay in order, because that's how it works in the NFL. But that doesn't mean that that's going to lead to winning. You can do it other ways. You can do it by paying a quarterback $46 million a year, Patrick Mahomes. He'll get you to the Super Bowl. You can't afford Tyreek Hill? Fine. I'll still get you to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Or you can get a guy in his rookie contract, i.e. Jalen Hurts, and you're paying him $1.4 million this year. And he'll get you to the Super Bowl because you went out and got safeties and corners and guards and tackles and
just
wide
on
receivers.
that
and
top 10 free agent defensive line list, the multiple Eagles on that one.
Yeah, there are multiple ways that you can win. It doesn't have to be you got to have a quarterback, a left tackle, a defensive end, and a linebacker. There are multiple ways.
And
that's just the way.
that.
That's the sexy.
There's a lot of holes that we could have filled.
There are a lot of holes. So last word, guys. All right, Stoner, Trev.
Yeah.
Sign or tag, whatever you want to do with the tag. I don't care. Sign or tag Daron Payne.
For me, I'm signing, I'm tagging and trading him.
Okay.
I do not want his contract.
I don't care what you're doing with the tag. I just asked sign or tag, Stoner.
Yeah,
I set it up that way too.
Well, because I'm not going to just tag him and keep him.
Right.
So I just
you
want to
only
make that
tag
clear.
him if you find a suitor.
Correct.
Okay. Trev?
I don't want him here or his contract at all. So I tag and trade him because if we have to get something back, you tag him.
Trev's not a fan of that particular option. I would say tag and trade would be the best option. I'm okay if tagging and playing him is the answer. I just don't think Daron Payne is going to play on that. I think that this team's better with him, but I agree there's a lot of holes here that we have to fill. So we'll see how it happens. You never know. One of the things that people have thrown around is tag and trade with the Bears who are looking for a defensive tackle. Maybe, get Justin Fields. Allison says we're not getting Justin Fields. Well, guess what? Even with the talk of Justin Fields staying in Chicago, that's not going to stop us releasing our Justin Fields video tomorrow. So be sure to check that out as we continue our QB1 Press Your Luck. It's time to talk Justin Fields. What do we think about him coming over to Washington? Obviously, like I said, we keep the conversations of how that's going to happen outside of those. That's just strictly what we feel about Justin Fields and what we'd feel about him in burgundy and gold. It's been a great conversation today here on episode 106. We talked about the Pro Bowl. We talked about Pebble Beach early on, if you believe that. We talked about who is going to get cut, who needs to be extended. And we talked about extensively here in the back half during the cool down, which was not very cool. Pretty heated here on Daron Payne. We appreciate everyone who's jumped in there. Uptown Dre, Doug, John, Clifton, Joe, all right here. E in the chat, Allison as well. We appreciate you all jumping in here for us. Any last words, gentlemen? Nothing heard. That was a whole bunch of crickets. I think I have a button for that.
Wait.
No, that's not that one.
Wait,
there we go.
Oh, no. No, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're having the sound effects off now. Huh?
Yeah, Stoner has his own board now, so you're going to hear some from him. But for that, you're going to have to tune in again next week. We stream live every Wednesdays on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 7:30. And like I said, we got a video coming out tomorrow on our QB1 Press Your Luck. But until next time.
No draft picks for Trev.
That's right.
Be a fan.